I was born in Vancouver, BC, and I had 7 other sisters and brothers. They were all born in Vancouver. And my mother and father, they're from Hiroshima, Japan. They were born in Hiroshima, small town outside of Hiroshima City at that time. And I can't remember exactly, but they came over from Japan in early 1900s. Tell us to read Japanese because we were going to the Japanese language school at that time, and it wasn't too far away from our place. And they used to buy us when we were smaller, Yonen Club, and then when we got a little older, Shonen Club. My mother used to read, I think, Fujin Club and so on. And they always said to read Japanese as well as study English in the public school. And I never read it, but I was still young. But this was back in about 1935, just before I moved to Japan. I saw this one bookstore on Paul Street. It's right behind our place. And in the show window, they had a book called Nichibei Moshi Tatakawaba. And I don't think I could have read it, but this is what the man told me inside. And I always had that in mind. And I just recently found out there was a book like that for sure, and it was published in Taisho Junen or Junen. I think they're doing the right thing, being a Japanese. You know, even though you were born in Canada, we weren't a Canadian citizen. We were Haiseki all along. But I think they did the right thing, teaching us all these good things about Japan. Nothing bad. Yes, and this is why today I'd like to pass some of it to my sons, and my son would do the same toward their offspring. When I went back in 1935, at that time I was young, and my father never mentioned anything about the reason why we're going to Japan. And I found out the reason when I got there is because of my grandmother dying of cancer. And my mother being the only daughter of the family, like my father is a Yoshi, and she was the only daughter. So with 6 kids, they took us on this Heianmaru and went back. That's the only reason. And I cannot recall whatever happened too much, but the things that they didn't like, I still have it in my memory. Traveling on the boat for 14 days, 15 days, being a young kid, I thought it was something real nice. But once I got into Japan, it was in July, so the temperature, the weather was so hot and sticky. That's what I hated. But we were still in Yokohama, so it wasn't too bad. You're in the city. And once we got on the train, we stayed at the hotel one night, and then we took the train to Hiroshima. And when we got out the train in Hiroshima, it was the same thing. It was hot and sweaty. And from there, we were taken by the bus to this country home, like my mother's parents' place. And nothing pleasant all along. I didn't like it. School system, it must have been good, but then a little different from the school I went in, part Vancouver. One thing I hated was I had to stay extra couple of hours because I'm a little behind in my Japanese and other things. So this doctor, not doctor, the teacher, Mr. Okada, he was good enough to stay after school just for me to catch up on the rest. And I didn't enjoy it, but it's something that I had to do it. And a good thing I did because after another year, I was able to move into middle school in second year. I took the exam and I passed, so I was quite proud at that time. And since then, it's you get to know the people around you, and you talk to them. One good thing was that we studied Japanese in Vancouver, so we were able to communicate with the only way to get together and have good relationship is to understand each other. And since I was able to talk a bit, that helped a lot, yes. And the school I went to, I went back to visit Japan, and I went to see the school. But the old school was gone, but the new one up. But brought me a lot of memories. And though it was hard at the beginning, it seems like your hometown school, that you always went to and liked, yes. What I learned in Japan, all the actual happening, especially on the war front, it was quite different. What I heard was that when I was there, Japan was doing all the good things to the neighboring country, helping them out and all this. And I think that was a time when Germany and Italy and Japan had a treaty. So, everything is given into our mind that we are the perfect country, the strongest country, and so on. But then, if it wasn't for this friend from Portland, USA, I wouldn't have known anything, And when I came back to Vancouver and started reading some of the Japanese paper, it's a different story altogether. Not so much in Japanese paper, but the Western, Vancouver Sun or Vancouver Province, the newspapers that we used to read. And it was kind of discouraging, that we were brainwashed over there. In a very short time, 5 years, I was there. They'll brainwash you and brainwash the public. Well, it's after living there for so many years, you kind of get to know the country better, and you hear so many good things about Japan that you believe in a lot of things, and a lot of things that I found out later. It's very, very discouraging things, but anyway, I was there for 5 years, 6 years, and since my brother, the oldest of the family, is in Canada, and my father was in Canada. I was the oldest as far as the boy is concerned, and I had to help my mother with a little spot of rice field and others. And I didn't actually want to leave her, but one of my friends went to Manchuria. He, after going graduating from the school, he was given a nice job, but during the morning it was a desk work. In the afternoon, they gave him a rifle to army training. So he got fed up with that. He says, I didn't come here to hold the rifle. So he quit there and came back. And this is how he came to me and said, he was born in Portland, USA. He says, come on, let's go back to North America. And that's how I decided to come back to Canada. And that was in 1941. Yes, about the trip to the internment camp in 1942 is my brother and I were the only one that's living in Canada as far as Oshimo family is concerned. And after the war broke out, there was a regulation. Nobody's supposed to be outside after dark. My brothers one day, well, this is after we got the notice of taking a train to the road camp, which we didn't go, and he got caught walking home that night. And so he was taken by the RCMP, and I guess he went straight to the Vancouver's immigration building, where he was kept till he was sent out to Petawawa in Ontario. They were supposed to be going to the road camp, but a different place from my brother. And I'm sure it doesn't matter who they are. When a war breaks out like that, which you never thought would happen, and what are you going to do? You're not going to say, well, I'm going to do this, do that today, tomorrow, and so on. It's just a sudden shock. I don't know what I was thinking. But whatever I did, I wasn't following the government's order to move out. And eventually, I decided to join with my brother. That's when I met my brother at Angler. They moved out of Petawawa, and I got into Angler at the same day. The reason is there, to be together. There's many people that went in there with different reasons, you know. I, for one, is different from because myself and my brother is the only one. And then there's other people that had families, older parents, or maybe younger family with a lot of kids, you know. So I left there after 8 months because of this person from Japanese evacuation committee member came to tell us whoever wants to go out should go out because there's nothing further to gain. So we were the second group to leave that camp. So I stayed there 8 months. And there's, I guess most of them stayed for the duration of the war. Well, as far as the life in Angler, internment camp, there's a lot of things, nice thing going on. You could learn kendo, judo, learn English or Japanese. Even, I believe, what I heard, learn French or German, whatever. And music. There's quite a few things going on. But the thing I regretted was the time we had to bow toward the east. And I guess everybody followed what the camp leader told us to do. We did. To this day, I still don't agree with his doing, because it seems like some group, not just the camp leader, some group in that bunch that was brainwashing a lot of those second generation what to expect when the war ends. Well, end of the war, well, I was relieved. But the sad part is after all these people sacrificed themselves fighting this war, and then when you look back, I'm still alive. Had a very, very, actually, I would say, an easy life during that duration of the war, because this is one country, I never heard a gunshot during the war, not like these other countries, you know. And there's a lot of disappointment, and yet, in turn, there's a lot of happy feelings. To Fort William? Well, I was here in 42, but then I was working in the bush camp at that time. So come out and spend your holiday and go back to the bush camp. But after I left the bush camp for good, I came straight to Fort William. And of course, my brother came out first to check where we could find a job. And he found a job at the Great Lakes Lumber and Shipping Company. It's a local firm near Chippewa Park. It was a good feeling, just the same. I can't recall too much about that time. Being young, and always did have great fun during that time, wartime. And we were treated quite well from the people of Fort William, especially certain Italian that every time we come out from the bush, we were to see that guy and he'll take you wherever you want to go. Yeah, he was very, very kind. We stayed in, I think it was the Ukrainian family's house for a while. I even stayed in the Russian's home. He was a Russian national, but he was very, very good to us. I think overall we had a great time here. The people were very, very friendly. I'm proud to be the Japanese Canadian, no doubt about that. The country I lived in for 5 years, it was quite a struggle. At the beginning, I hated it so much that my sister and I used to talk together, someday we'll go back to Canada. It's not because the people I was treated wrong, but it's because of the way of living and very strict, and then the food wasn't that great. So being a young child, you're always thinking about the better things all the time.